their goal of, like, hype versus our goal of, I would rather people not die.
This goes out to the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
I don't know if I can do this.
No?
I don't know if I can record this week.
Why is that, Patrick?
Nothing makes sense anymore.
How do you mean?
Somehow, and I don't want to give them too much credit, but somehow, those underhanded, down underdogged rapscallions at All Star Comics of Melbourne got one of the people closest to us to turn. Treachery of the highest order.
Wow, international treachery.
How do you? I mean, you were there. How can you be so blasé about it?
Was I there?
Yeah, you got clubbed with a sign.
I mean, all I remember is something happened, and then I woke up hours later. Was I attacked?
You were attacked.
No.
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 Yeah.
No.
Somehow, and I don't know. I don't know if it was blackmail or just a promise of a caseload of Tim Tams or I don't know, a Vegemite something.
Well, Vegemite isn't really much of a lure.
Mitchell and Troy got, of all people...
I thought his name was Mitchell Webb.
There's two people. I named two people.
Oh, wait, no. Mitchell... Wait, Mitchell... his name... I thought you said his name was Mitchell and Troy. No, Mitchell and Troy. Two people.
Burn those names into your mind because they are now your mortal enemy. They caused you personal harm.
I don't really have room for more mortal enemies.
They got Margie Springham to turn.
Wait, what? Margie was responsible for my ambush? My Dale Bush ambush?
I mean, if you at all followed any social media...
I don't.
You would have seen her gloating about it.
Ugh, tacky.
Not only that...
Shameless.
She said, and I quote... And I'd do it again.
She was in my top 5 Springhams, and now she's definitely in the bottom of the top 10. Like, she's definitely, like, in the 6 to 10 range now.
I don't know.
Of all the Springhams I know.
There is an international sales
battle.
battle.
There are several dogs ahead of her now, I'm just saying.
For Beta Ray Bill #1, Daniel Warren Johnson, written and drawn. It's going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
And this is the second ever Australia, Chicago, or Melbourne, Chicago international sales battle.
They can have their whole continent. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean,
fine. You clearly need the backup.
They've already shamed their entire continent once before. The best they can do, the best they can hope for, is to break even and look to the level that they're stooping.
Yeah, it's true.
To.
Yeah, it's
look to the level they're stooping to.
It's
at the level?
It's as convoluted and embarrassing as that sentence was. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they are shaming themselves.
They can't just win on their own merits.
Country full of criminals. What do you expect?
They have to cheat.
What do you expect?
They have to. Oh, I can't.
Yeah.
So disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes the inevitable victory that we'll have all the sweeter. Because if they have to work this hard just to lose, I mean, that's great for us. That makes me feel pretty happy.
Like, Margie brings us cookies and cinnamon rolls on the same day she turns.
That's how she did
it, though.
You know how
difficult it was to eat those cinnamon rolls after the fact?
I let my guard down.
Yeah.
Who is so aware of my surroundings and so constantly on guard against treachery, briefly, for just a microsecond, let my guard down. And she took advantage. And that's a lesson to me, is to never trust anyone, which I'd lived by this whole time. But I just the smallest sliver of time, allowed myself to believe in the innate decency of other human beings. And that was rewarded with, physical assault. So, fine. That's gone.
I mean, you
That's
still
done now.
ate a cookie, though.
I mean, the cookies are delicious. Brown butter cookies. Man, oh, man. Yeah. These are two different things, though. We're talking about two different things.
I don't know. I don't like. What did we do to All Star to deserve this? And not only that,
We
not
beat
only
them soundly.
you might have missed this because of your state of unconsciousness.
I missed a lot.
Like
apparently.
immediately after the attack, she was seen cackling. Yeah, I'll say it. Cackling on the phone
like a witch?
with Mitchell.
Yikes!
Like immediately
Nice.
gloating in their
Wow.
the fruition of their plan.
Wow, I'm surprised that
Didn't even leave the store. Talk to him. Talk to a man in Australia
Sure.
who was 15 hours ahead while she was still in the store, virtually standing over your prone body.
The thing that was most surprising to me is I know I was unconscious for quite a length of time, several hours. I was unaware that she would be able to dial an Australian phone number in just under a few hours. I thought it would take her significantly longer because those international dialing codes are insane. I figured she'd need 5 or 6 hours just to complete one call to Australia.
Do you dial the 0? Do you don't dial the 0?
How many digits is it? It's definitely in the 400 to 500 digit range to call Australia.
01161 3, and then their weirdo 8 numbers or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, several of the numbers had hats on them or something like that. It was, I don't know.
Plus, they were upside down. I don't know what
Yeah,
that
and
means.
that's the thing. It's Australia. Do you dial them front to back or back to front? How does that work for a different hemisphere? I don't know.
The point of all of this, dear listener, is that...
Scoundrels!
Do you want them to win? Wouldn't you rather support a store that doesn't resort to treachery?
That has both morals and ethics?
And while also getting a great comic at the same time?
Yeah.
We had somebody approach us and say, hey, if you could get my copy signed by Daniel Warren Johnson, we'll buy it. I'll buy it from you. And we said, we're not going to do that. That isn't fair.
No.
Because All-Star doesn't have access to Daniel Warren Johnson like we do.
It's true.
So we're not going to tip the scales in our favor. And this is the thanks we get.
It's true.
My goodness.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, boy, how do you do a podcast after that? My goodness.
I don't know.
It is.
I've been thinking all day, what are we going to talk about? And I just see red.
I didn't even realize any of this happened. I'm all burned up now. Man.
Well, don't worry. There's photos of your shame.
My shame.
On the internet.
I got jumped from behind.
Right, that's your shame.
What shame?
You let your guard down.
I mean, that's true. I did mention that. Yeah, that's fair.
On a
learning
floor covered in salt.
It's a learning moment. Is that why I was?
And
why
then,
the front of me was so covered in salt?
And then she posted a meme
Oof.
of a cockatoo walking up to some towers of blocks or building bricks or something, and kicking one over and toppling the others as it falls.
Now she's using memes against us?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Boy, the way Mitchell was gloating, you would think this was his master plan all along. I bet in their mind they've already won.
Yeah, we should dissuade them of that notion as swiftly as possible.
You know why?
Why?
Because they're going to lose. You know why?
They are going to lose.
Because we're going to sell more copies. You know why? Because the people that shop at Challengers know a quality book.
It's true.
When it's presented to them.
Yep.
And they're going to look at that Better Ray bill. Did you see the cover number 3?
It's really good.
It's really good.
It's really good.
He's trying to glue his hammer back together with super glue.
Yep.
It's so great.
Got a little workbench. It's great.
Man. Gosh, that book is so good.
Quite a thorse.
Another book that is good that people are just starting to really subscribe to this week, which is hilarious, is BRZRKR #1.
BRZRKR. Yeah, I mean, good news. We have hundreds and hundreds of copies, so it's going to be fine.
It's so weird.
You can add at the last minute.
How long have we been promoting that book?
A while, and I'm this is.
Don't get me wrong. I'm glad everyone's signing up for it.
Sure, for sure. But this is always the case.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we send out these emails on Thursday and Friday, because people are like, "Oh, it's coming out this Wednesday. I should get down for that." You should. But again, this time it's fine. Sometimes it's upsetting because it's all the people who are adding America Chavez, her new series, and it's where were you a month ago when we were doing our orders for this thing?
We had
no
this
one was
on the
down
back of the
for it.
register.
Suddenly everyone's like, America Chavez. Great, thanks.
We had a club member.
Didn't know you guys were going to care.
Today be like, oh, can I get this and this from next week? Okay, you took both our shelf copies of those books.
Yeah.
One of those is the 10 of Swords.
Oh, yeah.
One of those covers is gone now.
Yeah, I mean, we'll order more, but with the Diamond reorders and stuff for the week, could be Wednesday, could be Thursday, could be Friday, could be the following Wednesday. Yeah, we'll see.
Get this story. Mm-hmm. It's also basically treachery. After we were closed, but I was still there for a little bit, there were still some stragglers.
Was this today on Friday?
Today on Friday.
Okay.
The good mail carrier pulled up.
Oh, nice.
And I had 2 things that needed to get
I haven't
taken.
seen her in like 2 weeks.
You're not going to see her.
Oh, no.
I told you it was a tale of treachery.
No.
So she looked for the card. I was like, hey, I got these 2 boxes. So I gave them to Gina to go out there and give to her. Mm-hmm. And Gina came back and like, she's got a question. And the question is, have you been getting mail?
Occasionally.
And the reason she asks is she is no longer on our route.
Oh, bummer.
But her route, the route she's on, to get there, she passes a store.
Aww.
And she'll glance in, and she saw last week's massive pile of mail, and she saw it multiple days in a row.
It took several pickup deliveries that did not get filled.
So she said, did you get mail? And I said, we got no mail at all last week. Gina and I had to take everything to the post office, and we had 2 separate pickup requests erroneously say they were done. Mm-hmm. And then we finally got mail this week yesterday.
Yeah.
And she said...
I want to say that we had once or twice over the Monday to Wednesday period, I think we had stuff get dropped off.
Well, I guarantee it wasn't Monday.
Up. No?
That was a holiday.
This past Monday was?
Mm-hmm.
It was the previous Monday.
Was it previous Monday?
Yeah, I think it was the previous Monday.
What day is this? I thought it was President's Day this Monday.
No, I think it was the day after...
Okay.
What do you call it? After Valentine's Day.
Okay. Well, either way.
Anyway.
Because her point was she had seen the person that has our route multiple times on the route this week, yet just felt like we had not gotten mail picked up. And she said that she's sick of it and now she's going to complain.
Aw, that's nice of her.
And she also said that
that's not problematic for her.
Whenever she can, after she finishes her route, she'll swing by.
Aw, she's so nice.
Because, quote, you're my guys.
Aw, she's the best.
She is the best.
She's the best.
She is so good.
The best.
The best.
The best.
The best.
One of the things that I especially don't love about our current mail carrier, beyond her unreliability, is that she literally never wears a mask when she comes in and drop off and pick up the mail. Like, at least the other better mail carrier would, if she didn't have a mask handy, she'd cover her face or whatever with the, her
scarf.
Her scarf or her coat or her shirt or whatever. This lady just wanders in. Here's your mail. Anything going out? Nope. No, okay, she leaves. Like, all right, great. No mask. Zero mask. Not even, worried about it at all. That's great.
Yeah, we still definitely have a problem with social distancing in the store. And it's hard to say it sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's easy to say, hey, man, can you put your mask up? And most people didn't realize it fell down or whatever. Right. But when you want to say, hey, can you back up?
Can everyone spread out a little bit?
And I 100% it will admit this. It's going to sound really awkward.
Uh-huh.
But if it is someone of a minority who is too close to somebody else, and they're too close to someone who's not a minority, I don't say anything because I don't want it to look like I'm singling them out.
Sure, you don't want it to seem racist. I get it.
It is not. It's just spacious.
Right, but you're having an awareness of what that could sound like to somebody else, or moreover, what it could sound like to other people in the store.
I don't want to say, can you please step away from the white person?
Sure. I see what you mean.
And there's one egregious one on Wednesday where the person was, like the guy behind Charles Gorey, was standing closer than I would stand in, like, a movie theater line.
Oof. That's not good.
It's like, man, you gotta back up. But I didn't say anything because I was afraid of it being misconstrued.
I get it.
Terrible. People are terrible.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm part of people, though. Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Big week coming out this week.
Yeah.
We don't have Walesville in the system yet.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, someone wanted to sign up for it today, and I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm like, oh, I can't do anything with that.
Put it on a sheet of paper.
What is this paper you speak of?
It's like a monitor screen, but it's...
Oh, okay. I know what those are.
Yeah.
I just write on those with Sharpie.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
So not only is Berserker #1, which is the biggest selling comic of, from a publisher, in the last, I don't know, 8 years? When did Marvel start doing Star Wars?
2011.
That long ago?
Like that. It's been a while.
Wow.
I mean, the Star Wars series ran 75 issues, and now they're like 11 or 12 issues into the follow-up series.
Sure. So 4 years. Got it.
Exactly. You're good at math.
And then it's the Bad Idea launch next week, and both the first print and the not first print come out on the same day.
Yep.
Which is convenient. And what are they doing that's super special to drive people into stores, Dale?
I don't know, Patrick.
What is the very first person who buys ENIAC #1 get?
I thought you were just going to say it. There's going to be a pin that people get that says they bought the first copy of ENIAC from a store.
It's a Bad Idea pin.
Yep.
For one person.
Yep.
No matter how many copies of the book you ordered.
Yep.
What is their goal?
Hard to tell these days. I mentioned to you that I'm a little frustrated at the amount of Bad Idea things that are about limited.
Collectability.
Well, just like
exclusivity.
Like one person can get this pin. A limited number of people are going to get this thing. Each person can only get one of these things. And it's like, what if there was just a thing where it's like everybody who bought ENIAC got this other thing, or each store got X amount of this thing to give out? Like, I get that, like, the idea behind things like that are to drive people to be the first one at the store. Like, but, like, I guess for me, my ideal for a store is a window, like Free Comic Book Day,
Yeah.
You can show up whenever and get some free comic books. Things might run out, but there's going to be free comics. But this is a thing where it's like, if you want to be the person with that ENIAC pin, I mean, Jesus Christ, when do you have to show up? I don't want someone camping out in front of the store in the first week of March for God knows how many hours. Just like I honestly don't want a huge line of people waiting to get ENIAC. Like, I don't want to deal with that. I would rather just have a stack of them and have people come in and get one at a reasonable pace. Like,
yeah, and I feel really, really bad that I'm going to be the first person to buy it no matter what happens.
Yeah, there you go. It's the larger problem of a lot of what Bad Idea is doing in the midst of a pandemic where, again, we're just trying to balance, like, their goal of, like, hype versus our goal of, I would rather people not die. So how do we land on the happy medium between those two things?
Hype up people dying.
Like, just, I mean, like, so hypothetically, like, I don't know what's going to happen on the Wednesday of. Hypothetically, we've got a line of people,
Yeah.
How do we divvy up, like, okay, the people who are not buying ENIAC can come in now and get their new comics and get whatever else, versus the people who are here for ENIAC have to wait in a regimented line that we're letting a few people in at a time. How do we police those two things, Like, how... and if you're a subscriber who's like, I was going to check this Bad Idea thing out, cool, you have to wait in line now, too. Like, it's all of these things where previously I wouldn't care,
Yeah.
People just come in and we take care of who we can take care of in whatever order, and everyone gets their stuff and whatever. But now it's like, I don't want 15 people in the store because that's bad for social distancing.
Yeah.
What if I have 25 people who are like, I got to get ENIAC because it's going for X amount online, and I know you don't have that many and whatever. Like,
we have plenty of second prints.
Yeah, I don't know what this podcast is going to sound like, the one that we record a few days after the first Bad Idea comic comes out. I don't know what it's going to sound like. I'm tired of complaining about it. I'm as tired of complaining about it as probably everyone involved is of hearing me complain about it.
I don't think that it's going to be that much of a mad rush, since
I hope not.
The majority of our people are signed up for it.
I guess, yeah. And I mean, certainly the fact that you can only get one means if you're signed up for it, don't bother coming on Wednesday.
Also, I hadn't thought of this before, but I feel like the pin shouldn't go to a not first print.
Oh, I don't care.
But you can't. Like, the only way you'll get a first print is if you buy your club books.
I genuinely don't care.
Yeah.
Like, the whole pin
also,
thing
I'd
is
like
like,
to point
fine,
out,
I'll do it. Whatever.
We haven't gotten that pin yet.
Yeah.
Like,
once again, our mail not been delivered on a really reliable basis.
I'm sure it's mailed out. We haven't gotten one
Probably,
yet.
Yeah.
Just a few days to get it.
Yeah, the Bad Idea thing. I don't know. I wish it weren't so stressful. I wish everything about it were not so consistently irritating. And it's not even stuff like some things. It's like, these are things Bad Idea did, and I wish they weren't doing them this way, because it is needlessly frustrating. But some of it's just like, this is just the market. Like, this is a market that will take literally anything good and taint it, because that's what the market does. Because we are in a collectibles market now. Like, there was a window there, maybe a minute, where it felt like we were in a reader market, where people cared about stories and concepts, and they don't anymore. It's just collectibles. So trying to operate a non-collectible store in a collectibles market is what is going to drive me absolutely insane forever.
I stopped by the Vertical Gallery tonight on the way home.
Oh, okay.
Because I had a print I needed to pick up.
Finally.
And they closed at 6. And I got there, hilariously, I got there right a few minutes before 6.
Oof.
I put my hand toward the door,
Uh-huh.
and I stopped and said, "This isn't Vertical Gallery." And I just keep walking. Like, that was the line dot gallery. Vertical Gallery was across the street.
Oh, right.
So I went and I got in. Wound up talking to Patrick from the gallery for long enough that other people came in and I'm like, "I'm really sorry. You unlocked the door to let me in, but I didn't pull it shut behind me." So he's like, "No, it's fine. But to be fair, he did keep me there talking a little bit.
Okay.
So I didn't feel like I was infringing on his time, because I'm very cognizant of those types of things.
You've been in his position. You've been the Patrick in that position.
That's right. But we were talking about the collectability of the market and how the pandemic has changed that. Mm-hmm. And specifically, since I was buying a Jenny Frison print, he'd said, "Well, isn't that all she does is like limited collectible covers?" I'm like, "Well, that's not her decision."
Right.
She doesn't know. She doesn't just say, "No, I'm only doing variant covers."
No, but when you reach a certain level of success as a cover artist, that's all you get given, because you are making people buy something else. I mean, like, you could put her on a regular comic and the sales might go up, but if you put her on a variant cover, you're going to sell a lot more variant covers.
Yeah.
If you put her on an incentive cover, you're going to get stores reaching for that incentive cover. You're going to get stores ordering more base copies of a book to get that 1 in 25 variant, because they know that they're Jenny Frison fans and they are going to pay extra money for a scarce cover.
And this is going to be 2 different topics at once, but I don't care who does the variant cover. I don't.
No.
I've never cared whose name is. It's not like I'm not saying I don't care that Jenny does covers.
No,
what I mean is,
you would never buy a cover just for the artist.
No, I don't care who the publisher picks. My point is that the A cover should be a lot more representative of what's happening. And too often, publishers pick someone, and we had this talk the other day
about the AWA books?
Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal.
Yeah.
Really fun book. Really enjoyed it. Read the first 2 issues. Liked it a lot. Mm-hmm. Hyped it in a newsletter. It's an ugly cover since the art inside is so much better.
I don't know that I would call it an ugly cover. I like Andy Clark, okay.
I used to like Andy Clark.
But, I mean...
Did you used to do Wonder Woman? Who am I thinking of? Is that a different Clark?
Maybe? I don't... Andy Clark is someone I would think of from, like, other DC books.
The point is, like, I looked at that cover and thought it was, like, Glenn Fabray.
Wow.
Doing line art, not painting.
Sure, yeah.
And then, like, the inside is so much crisper and cleaner and lighter and more fun. Sure. Like, I feel like you're doing a disservice to the inside of the book.
That's fair. I was...
if you want to do Andy Clark on a B cover, fine.
Sure. I was looking at the most recent Marvel Previews, which has the cover art for the first 4 issues of the 7-issue Heroes Reborn event that Marvel's doing.
Yeah, man.
And, like, even the first one, the first cover for your big, like, 2-month event that has a whole bunch of tie-ins and, like, is pretty much, like, kind of your summer event, is a cover where I'm like, I know the concept of this book. I don't understand what's going on in this cover. If I didn't even know what the concept was, nothing of that cover would make me want to buy it.
Like, here's a silhouetted form, here's somebody's face, and here's someone standing behind him.
I'd have, like, knowing the concept, I'm like, that's Blade, and these other people are, like, the Avengers who never became Avengers. Like, that's supposed to be Tony Stark, and that's supposed to be Carol Danvers, and I don't even know who this dude in the backpack is, and someone in a jet maybe, and it's like, this is terrible. This is a terrible cover to explain your weekly event. Like, I don't understand. Like, if you want to do connecting lineal U covers, like, fine, as a variant. But, like, the first issue cover of something that is not instantly recognizable, like, it's not like the new Captain America comic where if you just draw Captain America, people are going to figure it out. This is something where you have to explain and onboard people to this concept. And the cover 1000% doesn't do that. Plus, kind of a bad design.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not, it doesn't have a good symmetry to it. Things are just plopped down kind of wherever. There's a bunch of weird negative space. Like, it's a bad design that doesn't communicate the concept, that certainly doesn't get people to be like, yeah, I'm going to jump onto this thing. And that's on top of, like, a title that doesn't exactly tell you what the book is. Heroes Reborn. Like, when people first saw that logo, a bunch of people were like, oh, are they doing a comic version of the old NBC series? They just assumed it was the TV show Heroes.
Well, or the people assumed it was like Heroes Reborn the first time.
And that was the second thing, which, again, it's kind of not that. Like, it's not like someone else, like, other people thought, like, oh, maybe Marvel's going to have, like, you know, some studio take over some other, like, concepts and projects. Like, no, it's literally just history's been rewritten, so the Avengers were never the Avengers, so the Squadron Supreme, or if you will, the Justice League, is now the core of the Marvel Universe. And that's the thing that the cover of that book does not communicate to you at all. The Squadron Supreme isn't even on the cover. They're not on the cover. Like, these are simple things where it's like, it's baffling to me that you would go with that cover, because it feels like you are. It's in some ways it's like the Ryan Stegman cover that was released for Power Pack, where it's like, Ryan Stegman's a popular artist at Marvel, but he's not the guy that you put on the cover to Power Pack.
No,
like, that's not what the book is. It's not what the inside looks like. That's not the tone of it, the theme of it. Like, it's just bad editorial decisions. So, yeah, like, part of me is like, man, I'm going to look and see if there is another open order cover for Heroes Reborn that we can just order the hell out of, and then just do, like, club copies for the Lanil U one, because I do not have any confidence that thing is going to be something people buy off the rack. It's a thing I'm going to have to constantly hand sell to people and go, no, here's what the concept is, because you don't know what you're looking at. And then they'll buy it.
And even more cover-related talk, this upcoming week, Avengers 43 comes out.
Yes.
And it is part of the Phoenix storyline.
Correct. The penultimate chapter.
And as you just pointed out, it has connected, like, the A cover is the connecting Lionel U covers.
No.
No.
The A cover is just an A cover. The B cover is the Dustin Weaver connecting covers.
Lionel U covers that look like they connect, they don't connect. They're just generic, like, yellow backgrounds of different characters all Phoenixized. Like last time it was...
That's Dustin Weaver, and that's the B cover. The Dustin Weaver covers are connecting.
No, I'm talking about the Lionel U cover that was the cover to last time. It had Black Panther and his Phoenix getup.
It's Dustin Weaver.
No. The A covers are...
I mean, I got to look at what the A cover was, because I don't remember. I mean, it's mostly just been them, like, fighting and stuff, hasn't it?
Well, while you look that up...
Okay.
It has the normal cover, which may or may not be a connecting cover. It has a Dustin Weaver connecting cover, which...
Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, the A cover was, it's Lanil U, and they're just all fighting.
Right, but like that's every cover. It's just different...
Yeah, but the B cover was, like, this one.
Well, yeah, that's the... Okay,
that's the connecting covers.
That is... Right, but I assumed that the A cover is connected because of how generic the backgrounds are.
Nope, just generic.
So, like, look up 41.
Sure.
But 43 also has an Alex Ross Timeless variant, even though those were, like, October, November of last year. It has yet another Timeless variant. The last issue had to Hawkeye.
No, they're all just, like, Phoenixy backgrounds.
Yeah, but
I do see why you think they connect, but they don't.
I wonder if they do.
No, I mean, I just looked at the other ones.
Okay. So it has an Alex Ross Timeless variant, as well as the Weaver Connecting variant, which for the whole story arc.
Yep.
Then it also has, this month they're doing Michael Cho two-tone covers, highlighting different characters with just two color tones. For the Avengers, it's Ant-Man and Wasp. Then it has a Women's Comics Month cover. The point being, there are way too many themes for
a whole bunch.
This one issue. Do you remember when it was a big deal? They'd be like, oh, we're doing this one theme for the month.
Sure.
Now they're doing, Masterwork covers are a theme.
Yep. And the Mech Strike covers are a theme.
And the Mech Strike covers, and poor Michael Romanenko.
And the Todd Knock headshot variants.
All of
over
the
place.
Heroes Reborn variants are Carlos Pacheco.
Yeah, that's true.
So he'll be going after all those, probably.
I guess, yeah.
As a Carlos Pacheco fan. My point is there's way too many themes. Pick
You're
one.
Right. You're right.
Why does this issue, like part 4 of a story, have 6 different covers?
It's a lot.
It's ridiculous.
It's unnecessary.
And, it shouldn't matter to people that I complain about how much extra time it takes to check things in and how it slows the process down and it just adds so much more work for every cover. We've gotten used to the fact that every comic has 2 covers. We may not order them, but why does this random Marvel comic, it's not the first part of a story.
No.
It's not an anniversary issue. It's not the introduction of a new character.
It's not even the last part of a story. It's
right.
the 4th of 5
It's
parts.
random. I don't understand what that is for.
Just an issue of Avengers.
And look, I like the Alex Ross Timeless variants. I think the Michael Cho covers are going to be great.
Yeah.
But pick one.
Yeah.
You don't need to do everything. Why are these Alex Ross covers coming out now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why was there just a Hawkeye one in like February?
Yeah, and why is there another one? Wait,
what?
Who is it? Who even is the one that's coming out this week?
I can look at you.
Right? I figured you would have since you were just looking at those covers. I thought you might have saw it.
Oh, really?
Why are these just left over? I mean, like, and also, no one cared about Hawkeye. Like, oh, that month is over. They don't care. Did you forget? We don't have records. Like, there's no way to. You can't just say, oh, can I get all the Alex Ross covers? You can when they give us a list of what they are, but then when they don't include a couple, we can't put you on those. It's getting harder and harder to get people the books they want because systems don't match. And now I'm going to roll this right into all of their non-series miniseries that they're doing. Like the Man-Thing series that they're doing, that's Curse of the Man-Thing. Mm-hmm. But it's Curse of the Man-Thing. It's Avengers, Curse of the Man-Thing. Spider-Man, Curse of the Man-Thing. This week, it's Demon Days, X-Men, the Peach Momoko cover book,
yes.
which she draws and writes, which kind of blows my mind. Like, why would you sign up for a variant cover that's not hers on the book that she's writing and drawing?
Kuri Hero does one. Looks really good.
Right, but I mean, it's such a weird thing.
No,
like,
you're right.
Hey, here's this book. I'm buying it because I like this writer-artist, and I'm not going to buy her cover. If you're getting the other covers along with, fine. But when you're only buying that one, a little weird to me. But Demon Days isn't... It's a miniseries, but it's going to be different titles and different lead characters.
The Avengers 43 Alex Ross variant is The Vision, which I guess answers the question of why are they doing a Vision cover now? He's in a TV show, Patrick.
Is he in the Superman Lois book?
He is actually a contestant on Supermarket Sweep.
Multiple phone calls today for a very specific West Coast Avengers back issue.
Oh, God. Did that give away what happens in this week's issue? Week's
it
episode
shouldn't,
of WandaVision?
It shouldn't, and here's why. Mm-hmm. I saw Endgame.
Okay.
That already happened.
Oh, okay.
I mean, didn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about, so
I assume you can piece things together.
No, I'd rather not.
Okay, fine. Yeah, those calls you just want to laugh at.
Sure.
Again with the, hi, do you have any of this? Yeah, we have this. Oh, do you not have this? We have this. Oh, okay. What did I just say?
Uh-huh.
What did I just say?
Uh-huh.
My goodness. And now, to go back to what I was talking about, the aborted annuals from last year aren't aborted after all for Marvel. They just got transferred over. The really lame-sounding Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Remember that one?
No.
Every issue of an annual last year was supposed to be introducing a brand new character.
Oh, right.
And it had to do with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, right.
Now they've tied it into the Black Cat, who's trying to steal it.
Okay. That's fine.
So her book is part of it,
okay.
But then it's like Infinite Destinies. Okay. I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
But, you know, and back in the day, remember they had all the DC annuals that introduced a new character?
Sure, Marvel did too.
Or
they all came bagged with a trading card.
With a trading card, yeah. Or things like Atlantis Attacks.
Sure.
And all that was...
I was a fan of Atlantis Attacks.
Sure, but all that was easier because there were no computer pull systems.
Yeah, it's true. A lot less books being published.
Infinite Destinies is going to go over a couple of months over all these different annuals. So if somebody's like, oh, can I get the storyline? You have to add them to 10 books. You don't just add them to a title.
Yeah, and I like, not to be an old guy about this, but like one of the great things about ordering stuff like Marvel annuals back in the day was the back issue market, where it's like, oh, like someone someday is going to want this Avengers West Coast annual, so you order a bunch, and if you sell out in, like, you're not planning to sell out in a month. You're planning to have them for years.
Yeah.
that's not how we order anymore, because that is not how the market works. Like,
Nope.
if you don't, 99% of books, if you don't sell out in a month, you are going to be stuck with them forever. You are going to be marking them down as fast as you can to get whatever money you can possibly get out of them. Like, how many annuals from the last few years have been printed where they're basically quarter books, where there's just literally no interest in them whatsoever?
And we really try to order those as low as possible for that reason.
Yeah, because again, like, maybe someone in a few months is going to want an issue of Avengers or an issue of Amazing Spider-Man, so sure, we'll want to have copies on the rack. But, like, some miniseries or some one-shot or something, like, 2 weeks, maybe. Sometimes less. Sometimes just the first 3 days, and then all interest dies.
And this is a gimmick because each issue is introducing a brand new character.
Sure.
But I swear to you, my gut instinct is to make these all club only.
Sure. So, the whole idea of Marvel doing this because, like, everyone wants first appearances now. Man, that's why they did this in, like, 1992. Because it was the exact same market. Where everyone was jumping in because they're like, oh, I want first appearances. Who knows if this is going to be the next Spider-Man or the next Batman? So Marvel and DC were just like, let's just do first appearances. Let's just introduce a ton of new characters because people eat them up. And then the whole market figures out pretty swiftly, and maybe this is a good thing, these characters suck. And they're not ever going to be in anything. Like, literally the only one...
I bet you Anima is making a comeback.
That's the thing. Like, the only one from, like, Bloodlines... There's only 2 characters worth remembering from Bloodlines. One is Hitman, who actually went on to do a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
And the other's Gunfire, who's a punchline. He's a joke.
Yeah.
He actually shows up in Hitman 1 Million as, like, just one of the lamest characters you could think of. And the Marvel ones fared even worse. There's almost nobody from any of those with the trading cards. I can't remember a single one of them that went on to do more. Like, I'm sure a couple ended up on, like, teams when, Mark Grunwald or whoever had to fill out a lineup. But, so, man, maybe I turn myself around on this. I'm excited about this Infinite Destinies thing. I'm excited about Marvel wringing every last dime out of the people who are just buying up every first appearance, so that they go broke and they stop turning this market into a nightmare. Or at least turn it into a different nightmare.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to go broke from us because we're not going to have them.
No.
Because if we order bad enough that even 2 copies are left on the shelf, not worth it. We've lost money.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be, like, what, $5.99 probably?
Yeah, $4.99, $5.99.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly not going to stick my neck out on stuff like that. Okay, sticking my neck out on things like BRZRKR. And Stray Dogs, which came out this week, which was really good.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of people picked that up.
A
lot of people passed it by.
We had a restock the front counter.
Oh, that's good.
And now that I've read it, I can pitch it better to people.
Did you like it?
I did. It's really weird because it felt brief to me, but it was actually 24 pages of art and story.
Okay.
I hadn't known what to expect, and this is too often I just take what you tell me and run with it.
Sure.
So I misconstrued that it's not talking animals.
No, they're dogs. They have all the weird problems dogs have.
Yeah.
Which is what's the smartest thing in the story is it's not beast of burden. Like that's the easiest comparison, right. But it's not. They are trying, like, it is. If you've ever tried to get a dog to do anything, imagine trying to get that dog to solve a murder mystery. Like, it's incredibly difficult, but charming. It's in the same way that getting a dog to do anything is like, oftentimes you're not even mad. You're just like, you're trying to gently coax it into figuring out what you're trying to get it to do. And so when it starts to get closer to it, you're like, oh, yeah, that's it.
I also didn't realize that Todd Rodriguez did the layouts.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't think I realized that either.
And that's a dude that I met on the circuit years and years ago, and he was a big wrestling fan, and he even gave me I can't remember what, like a small Federation t-shirt. He gave it to me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like we were at a bar one night and wrestling came up, and so good to see him being involved in that. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good arc series kind of thing. Yeah,
I think it's 5 issues, which is pretty great for murder mystery. I think that's kind of what you want. Like, Scare and Hood was 4, but it was 4 oversized issues, I think.
Yeah.
So that, again, just the right amount of runaway.
It was a little bit more abruptly shocking than I thought it would be.
Sure.
Like, oh man.
I mean, like, to be clear, when we're talking about a murder mystery, the dogs are fine. The dogs aren't really...
It's a human murder.
Yeah, a dog's owner has been murdered, and a group of dogs have to try and figure out what's going on. And to be clear, they don't even know at first that there's been a murder.
Or at the end.
Yeah.
Tony F., the writer, who is very kind to this podcast and sent me mothballs, has done so much promotion and so much work ahead of time.
Great.
That I didn't do my share. I didn't read the book until it came out. But I also didn't read it because you read it, and I felt that was good enough.
Yeah, I was doing FOCs,
it.
and I was like, oh, this is really good.
But
we'd
put it in the newsletter as, hey, don't miss this book.
Yeah.
But no, I wish I would have read it earlier.
I mean, the good news is we have time to sell it. Like, with a lot of these books, it's sometimes not until issue 2 or 3 where people are like, wait, I heard good things about this. And then they'll buy up all 3 issues, which is tricky because sometimes it means you've got to order more 2s and 3s, and sometimes that whole, they'll catch up to it doesn't happen, and then you're like, oh, I ordered all these issues that are never going to sell now.
Yeah. And some people have gone after the fancy acetate cover.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
The more reasonably priced $13 fancy
acetate
cover.
Yes, not the $25 acetate cover.
Originally, it was pitched to us from Diamond through Diamond from Image as a $13 net cost item, which means we would have to charge $25 for it. And then literally the day of release, they were like, hey, by the way, that should be a $13 cover price book.
You're giving them too much credit. It showed up with a cover price of $12.99, and retailers are like, what the F?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's a mistake.
Yeah.
You were billed at the wrong price.
Right. So the mistake, well, that's the problem. Like, the mistake wasn't like, it's got a price printed on it when it shouldn't because it's a net cost item.
Yeah,
it was
the
like,
price was the point.
That was the only thing they got right. Every other part of it they got wrong. All the messaging was wrong.
But there also have been at least one occasion where I had to point out to someone like, hey, this is the $13 acetate fancy cover, right? Oh, no, I didn't. I'm like, don't worry, the other one's right here. You can just grab it.
Yeah, sure.
You can just grab it.
Yeah.
But again, I like that there's good, fun books you can direct people to, and I like we have the number ones right there.
Yeah.
And I like looking ahead. The problem is there's almost too many good things.
Oh, man.
And that when people don't respond to them, you're like, come on, people.
Yeah.
And, we're going to be pitching ENIAC and definitely Berserker to everyone. Well, not ENIAC, but Berserker to everyone.
You're not going to pitch ENIAC?
No, but I mean, not to everybody. Like I am Berserker.
Okay.
But, like, hey, either way, it's a Matt Kent win.
Yeah.
Matt Kent winning for comic stores. It's great. Did I write down? Oh, I guess that's fine. Trying to keep my notes steady so I know how to write up the episode log. Although I don't know that it matters as much. I think we talked briefly last week about filming that was done in the store that day. That movie has already come out. It came out last night. It's called Time Traveler. It's for a musician named Waltzer. And she had an album that was due to come out like at an album release party at the Hideout right at the height, like at the start of the pandemic.
Oh, jeez. That's too bad.
So it got like postponed or canceled, and so this is somebody decided to make a movie for it.
Nice.
And the movie takes place in January of 2020.
Okay.
So it's right before.
That's why you're not wearing a mask?
What are you talking about? That was filmed in 2020.
Oh, that's right. That's why you're not wearing a mask?
Gina was wearing a mask because she knew the virus was coming.
I see.
And she was getting prepared. Everybody in the filming of it was thoroughly following protocol, pandemic. That's the word, pandemic.
That's great.
Protocol. I was the only risk to that. I was the risk to them.
Okay.
Is how it goes. They were all routinely. They were tested at the start of right at the not at the start, but during filming.
Okay.
So I had done a couple takes with my mask on, but it didn't feel authentic.
Sure.
So they were okay with me risking it off because I can infect them.
Sure.
The crew were all masked.
Okay.
It was just me and Robert. Robert didn't have a mask on.
Okay.
So it debuted last night, and it's a streaming thing, so I had to pay for it.
Okay.
But I paid it was $1.76.
That's
to rent it for a few days.
Easy enough.
So I just jumped to my parts. There were issues with the stream kept cutting out, but I noticed a hilarious mistake that nobody caught because they filmed the same scene from different angles.
Sure.
and one of it is like the camera looking at me over Robert's shoulder. One is the camera looking at Robert over my shoulder.
Right.
Like one is
both of you.
Kind of.
Okay.
Well, I think there's
that's the typical like over 2 shot.
Well, and it's me like pointing at him. At first, I was poking him in the chest. He's like, "Don't poke me because you're gonna have to hold it while they film and when I run."
Right.
So I was like, me pointing. I switched hands.
Oh no! You're
I
ambidextrous pointing.
I noticed it immediately. I'm like, the
Continuity
over the shoulder
error.
is a different. Yeah, total continuity error. I thought it was. I'm like, wow, no one noticed that. No one noticed that continuity error. It looks fun from the bits that I jumped around to see if I get a feel for the story. It's like an hour. It's like an hour long. But I mean, they got it edited and out.
That's great.
Full credits. Gina gets a cameo credit. We get a We Love You Challengers Comics
that's kind
credit. I thought my name should be higher in the credits, but no, it's fine.
Yeah.
So am I automatically in SAG now?
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to start paying dues.
That's fair. I mean, I should be on the Screen Actors Guild. I watched this on a screen.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Yeah, I thought so. Hey, Dal, you reading any previews?
Kind of. I read Infinite Frontier #0. I had some time to kill tonight before the recording. It was okay.
It is, and this is not hyperbole.
Uh-huh.
It's the most important comic for the future of the DC Universe that they'll make this year.
Pretty much, yeah. And I think it's all new content. Like, it's checking in with a bunch of books. But
Yeah.
those teams do pages for them. But, like, I don't think the 3 Wonder Girl pages that Joelle Jones does are going to show up in Wonder Girl #1.
No,
Maybe?
they're not previews. They are.
Yeah, I don't think
their
so.
story. Because, like,
Well, that's the thing.
there's
like,
a major thing that happens in the Batman universe
Mm-hmm.
that, starting with Batman 106, they don't go back and tell you. It's just moving forward.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, most of the segments of the book feel like they're constructed just for this thing.
Yeah.
The Wonder Girl one was the one where I'm like, this could literally be the first 3 pages of Wonder Girl #1. It would not surprise me.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because that segment is especially kind of nothing. Like, it just is, here's Joelle Jones drawing Wonder Girl. It looks great. Yeah, it's part of a series of DC one-shots that they release every few years that basically are like DC mea culpas.
Yeah.
Where it's them doing an oversized one-shot that says, please come back and read our books again. We fixed everything that you hated.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have to do those every few years is what makes it so funny to me. Is that they're constantly doing these things where it's like, look, it's good again. And then in a few years it's like, look, it's good again. So what happened in between those 2 books?
Right?
It was good, and then you did what? This is okay, though. I've probably never been less of a DC fan than I am the last few months.
Sure.
Last week I read literally no DC books. I flipped through the Batman Black and White to see some of the artists I like. But, I mean, literally nothing else I wanted to read. Most of what I'm reading now is like their Black Label stuff, which they have more or less decided to quit production on. At least they're not commissioning new material.
Yeah.
They haven't announced a new Black Label project, and I can't remember how long. And even those, like, Strange Adventures, it's okay. I like some elements of it, but I don't feel like it's coming together. And Batman Catwoman so far feels like, and I'm sorry to say this, an absolute miss. The construction of it, like the way that it's 3 different timelines, and that could be anywhere between 1 to 3 timelines per page. Like, literally between panels, it can just be like, oh, now we're in the 3rd timeline.
Yeah, it is definitely a little confusing.
Needlessly convoluted, and it's a bunch of like Tom King tricks where it's like, has he just fallen into a rut? Is he just his own like ticks and tricks now?
I was talking to someone about it today, and I give myself different amounts of time for different kinds of books.
Sure.
When I'm going to read, sometimes it's like, hey, I've got like 5 minutes. Oh, I'll grab an Amazing Spider-Man or something like that.
Yeah.
But I always give Tom King books longer,
Sure.
and I never need to.
No.
Because half of the book is a poem
Yeah,
or
there's
a song
definitely
lyric.
going to be song lyrics. So,
Yeah.
Like, and the newest, like the most recent show, Batman Catwoman had that. And I was like, oh my god, you've got to be kidding
Yeah.
me! It's such a cliche. Like, and that's the thing about Batman Catwoman is it's like one of those. It's like one of those Bendis like Defender series where it's like, what if it was just all of the things that got tiresome about this writer's approach in one book, like laid bare, and that's sad to see. Like it, Batman Catwoman feels, it should feel like the culmination of everything he was doing for years on Batman that I loved, But instead it feels like a guy who has just run out of gas, who has taken on way too much work, and because of that, they're all kind of sounding the same, and they're not, like, they don't feel distinct enough, and they don't feel like they've got enough reason to exist beyond a Rorschach book's gonna sell, and he wants to do strange adventures with, his guys, and Batman Catwoman is gonna make a bunch of money. Like, I don't think it's mercenary per se.
Sure.
But it doesn't feel like there's enough reason for the books to exist.
I am really enjoying Rorschach. I think it's... I know people have been dropping it.
Sure.
I think
I get that.
It's doing it for me. I like it. I like how they're structuring each issue. Plus the art's gorgeous.
Sure. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, on an individual issue level, I think it works fine. Like, the stories are these compelling little character studies. But the problem is, and it's sort of what Batman Catwoman has, where it's like, I don't understand what story you're telling. Like, even Strange Adventures has this sort of vague thing of, like, I get sort of what you're trying to talk about in it, but there was a clarity to that his better miniseries have had, where it's like, I get why you're doing this the way you're doing it, and I get what you're trying to talk about. But with, like, Rorschach, it's just this vague, like, I don't know, Trump shrug, and it's like, all right, great. I don't, like, for one thing, I'm tired of people in 2021, and I know these things take a while to get going, but man, I'm sick of stuff where it's like, I want to dig into, like, the psychology of Trumpism and the GOP in the last 4 years, and conservative media and conspiracy theory, and it's like, man, okay, fine. And the thing that bothers me more about Rorschach is Strange Adventures is already doing that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what makes... Rorschach was the one where I'm like, is this just getting derivative? Was reading Rorschach and being like, this is just a muddier version of what you're doing on Strange Adventures, which is already halfway done at this point.
There's a young British creator who has a diary comic coming out that she did all through quarantine called Quarantine Comics.
Okay.
And she's doing some fun things like, if you pre-order it, you'll get a sticker sheet from her, but it's only available in the UK.
Sure.
And, like, it looks cute. It looks like, what if Liz Prince was in quarantine?
Sure.
And I looked at it and I thought, I don't want to read that.
Nope.
I was in quarantine.
Nope.
I don't want to be reminded of it.
No.
I'm glad creativity is coming out of it.
Sure.
But it's like, I also, like, I hope bands I love don't release albums about being stuck inside.
Yeah.
Use that time to make new art, but not have the art be a reflection of the thing that everybody is doing. I mean, you could argue that, music is most songs are love songs about heartbreak. We all go through heartbreak. But it's all different. It's how it relates to you. Quarantine is a thing forced upon everybody. And, like, we don't want to be reminded of it.
Well, I
don't like reading comics about Alzheimer's because most of the time they're done badly.
Sure.
And I judge them for that. And also, I don't need to be reminded that disease exists.
Sure. I think there's
Except when it's time to solicit for donations for an Alzheimer's 5K where people could go to FORFRAN, forfran.com if they wanted to.
Yep.
You were saying.
I think there's a way to do it metaphorically. Superchunk definitely has a song that they released that is more or less about a couple living in quarantine, but they don't explicitly state that necessarily, and it's about things that come out because of that.
Yeah, but they also had a great song about the political landscape.
Oh yeah, I mean, they did an entire Trump album. I mean, basically, like politics. I mean, it was their hardcore album because it was like, well, things in the last 4 years have gotten insane, so let's talk about that. And at the time they were doing it, it was only a couple years into the Trump administration.
But it was also good enough to...
Yeah,
you interpret it, and it's not... Each time you hear it, you're not like, oh, God, this subject matter again.
Sure. And I think more of it is because it came out at a time where not everyone... Like, that was the start of people starting to really get into some of those concepts. Like, my frustration with some things in Rorschach are just like, I don't want to think about that guy anymore. Like, I don't want art that's about, like, let's really talk about, like, how people get won over by conspiracy and how political movements can be detrimental to people while still, like, inspiring them because they want to believe the world is a terrible place. And, like, whatever. Like, it's all stuff where I'm like, yeah, fine, okay, but it's not for me. But the larger problem I have is just, again, a lot of the stylistic things Tom King is doing in Batman Catwoman are the stylistic tricks he's been doing for years, and Rorschach feels like it's just telling the same story Strange Adventures was telling, hitting on a lot of the same themes, and it's, more than anything, I'm like, Tom King, take a break. please don't do comics for like 8 months. Like, you're doing way too much stuff on top of each other, and it's all bleeding into one another.
He is taking breaks. We just FOC'd Strange Adventures 9, and 8 came out like a month ago.
Okay. It's
That's
like
a big break.
It's like when Bendis started to really fall apart for me as a writer was when he was doing like 4 Marvel books simultaneously, and you're like, you'd read a week of Bendis books and be like, these all sound exactly the same. Every character in this sounds identical, and it's like, oh, that's when a writer is doing too much. They can't get enough distance from each project to keep them unique.
Is Brian Michael Bendis trying to retroactively say that Black Adam was never called Black Adam?
No, because Superman explicitly calls him Black Adam in the book.
Okay.
But it sounds like they are trying to steer away from Black Adam as a name, and maybe it could just be a quirk of what he's trying to do in that story.
Okay, because they have a Black Adam movie coming out.
They do, but I don't know if maybe they won't call it Black Adam.
Sure, but also Shazadam is a bad name.
It's not great.
You know what it is? It's Spy D. That's what it is.
From the creator who brought you Geldof. Yeah, but Infinite Frontier Zero, it's got looks in it a whole bunch of different books, and it is basically a full-throated apology from the current DC administration for everything the previous DC administrations have done since you stopped liking DC Comics, whenever that was. A whole bunch of stuff where it's like, let's just fold in this idea from this other book that you liked, and let's bring back this other concept that you used to enjoy, and let's set up this other thing that sounds like something that you used to be a fan of, and on from there. Like, so much of Infinite Frontier, like, texturally and metatextually is, what is it you liked about DC Comics? We will put that in here.
It's already here. Just look. Please, trust us.
Yeah. It's all of the stuff you loved. We're just shoveling it in. So, it's definitely necessary, though. If you think you're going to be someone who wants to read DC stuff in 2021, I'd highly recommend picking up a copy of Infinite Frontier Zero, not least of which because it is leading into not only all of the new number ones that are coming out in March and April and May, but also to Infinite Frontier number 1 that comes out in June.
Yeah, and the only art I looked at on this book, because every couple of pages is a new artist.
Yeah.
The only art I looked at and went, ugh, at was the very end.
Oh, really?
Which is setting up the...
I didn't like the people who are doing the Wonder Woman stuff. Michael Conrad, is that right?
No, he's the writer.
No, he's the writer. Who's the... I don't have it nearby. I don't remember who the artist is for the Wonder Woman part, who's also doing the Wonder Woman book.
How? Aren't you a comic seller?
No.
Isn't this something you have, like, right at your fingertips?
No, I got Michael Conrad,
You don't know it's Aletha Martinez from the WWE comic?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think Aletha Martinez... Is Aletha Martinez the one who's doing the actual
The
comic?
Becky Cloonan. Well, that's...
I would guess. I mean, if...
No, but she's the one who did this story in this book.
Right, but almost everybody in this... I think everybody in
but...
this is people who... Like, it's the entire creative team of a book, you know?
Okay.
Like, Stargirl is the Stargirl special, and Batman is the Batman team.
What book is Alex Matley doing? Is there going to be a Green Arrow Black Canary book?
I mean, maybe.
Wow. Is Dexter Story really doing Green Lanterns?
I think maybe.
Oh, wow. Anyway, I was not a big fan of the epilogue art.
Yeah, I figured.
And I'm afraid that might mean that they're doing the...
Probably. I think there's someone who's still a big name at DC who has maybe a contract or something. I don't know.
Does it say who does the... Oh, the framing story art is John Timms.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They did a lot of the B covers for the big books for Superman, for Batman, for Wonder Woman are going to be wraparound covers, just like Infinite Frontier has a wraparound cover. And they gave us all promo posters of all those, but because they're wraparound comic covers, they're horizontal, and all of the lighted DC comic branded poster holder frames we have are vertical.
Yeah.
So we can't use them.
Nope.
And I thought, come on.
Yep.
I know these are your covers. Come on.
Yeah, disappointing.
Also, I mean, Dan Jurgens?
Dan Jurgens.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Dan Jurgens and Mikkel Yannin. So how does that
not a
work?
great cover. But to go all the way back to what we were talking about at the beginning, at least it's a cover that tells you what the book is. You know?
True.
Like, you can kind of get some of what's going on in the story from what's going on the cover. And that's pretty much the least I want out of any cover to a superhero book.
But definitely, if you are a Batman fan, Infinite Frontier Zero has a major happening that spills into the Batman books.
Sure.
And that they don't hold your hand with.
Sure. Here's a quick... it actually spills over into Suicide Squad as well.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
That was Suicide Squad. Okay, good enough.
I didn't love the art, but the story was okay.
Yeah.
It's not the best version of that thing ever, but it was all right. What was the other? Swamp Thing I kind of didn't really stick with because I didn't read the other ones.
Sure.
Crime Syndicate. You are a friend with the writer?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
We are. He is a friend of the story.
Okay. Then I will just say that I read Crime Syndicate. The, what was I going to say?
It feels like this is like the old Justice League logo.
Maybe.
For the more recent one.
Oh, man, what was I going to say about Infinite Frontier? I can't remember.
So there's a character that's been on other Suicide Squad cover. Oh,
okay, character. Yes, thank you for using the word character.
You're welcome.
So we listed the Batman 106 variant on eBay.
Yeah. And
somebody messaged me to ask me, does this have the first appearance of the new character Flatline? And I had to go, I don't read them. I don't know. So apparently, Flatline might appear in Batman 106.
No, I'm sorry to do this to you, Dal. I'm so sorry.
Am I going to have to learn something about the Batman comic?
Yeah. Do you remember how Punchline debuted in comics?
Sure. Like she was on like a phone call or something?
Yeah. So you see like this much of her face?
Yeah. What we would normally term a cameo appearance.
Right.
But now those words don't mean anything.
This has a 2-panel cameo of Miracle Molly.
So it's not Flatline?
No. Miracle Molly is the big deal character.
I know she's on the cover that's coming up or whatever.
Right. But this is her...
Where we could commission...
her cameo appearance.
A store-exclusive Miracle Molly cover.
But it's not... it's like Hulk 180.
Yeah, okay. That sounds terrible.
So I was going to ask a question about Suicide Squad. There's somebody who isn't on the cover who has been shown in all the things.
Yep.
Are they like a big last-page reveal or something stupid like that?
Let me take a look. I don't think they were last page, but maybe they were. They definitely show up. No, they're not the last page reveal.
Okay.
It's like halfway through the book.
One of the problems I'm having with some comics lately, and it would be...
There you go.
I just opened it randomly to that page.
Halfway through.
This week, it's Nuclear Family.
Mm-hmm.
Last week was Shadow Doctor. Good premises.
Mm-hmm.
Solid. Like, you give me the pitch, I'm like, I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
And then you read the first issue, and it takes you the entire first issue to get to the pitch.
Yeah.
And it feels like... I was explaining Nuclear Family to someone today. I'm like, let's say there's a comic of your life, and the point is you coming to Challengers. That's the thing that people need to see happen in the story.
Sure.
So when the book starts with you waking up, making breakfast, it shows you cracking eggs into the bowl, shows you mixing the eggs, shows you frying up an omelet, shows you eating an omelet. That's all great detail, but it doesn't move the story forward.
Yeah. The big problem I think a lot of first issue writers have is that they're thinking of this as the first 15 minutes of a movie. And the first 15 minutes of a movie might have a slower build-up.
Yeah.
Slowly introduce the world and the characters, get you invested before something big happens and changes everything. That's not what you're making with the first issue of a comic book. You're making the first episode of a TV series.
You gotta grab
and you can't,
people.
like, it can't be a thing of, like, this is a show about doctors, and the entire first episode is about someone, like you said, like, making breakfast and getting dressed, and then the final minute is, they get to the hospital. That's not what people tune in for.
Why do you think every James Bond movie starts with him finishing up a mission? So you know what's happening. Like, hey, he's a spy. We're showing you he's a spy.
Sure.
Also, I've always said, and you can back me up on this, they should have done that with Spider-Man movies. Like, Spider-Man 2 should have started with him fighting. Like, it starts with him beating up the Shocker.
That is how Amazing Spider-Man 2 starts, and that's why... And I never finished watching that movie.
I'm sorry, I don't mean Amazing... I meant the Tobey Maguire 2.
Oh, okay. But, I mean, that's the thing. Like, they did eventually do that, and the movie is... I mean, the movie is bad for a lot of different reasons, but that probably didn't help. It's just randomly having him fight the Rhino or whatever.
And I don't even think this would be that big of a problem if you hadn't given us the premise the way you did. Like, for Shadow Doctor, which I liked more than you did, if you hadn't explained the book in the way you did, I would have liked the first issue more. Because...
You know that something's better waiting.
You told me what happens, and then I got to read the whole book to find out what happens, but I knew what happens going into it.
Right.
You've wasted that first issue.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to...
It's really tough to do first issues. I think that the pitfalls are way too many, so that when a good one happens to come out, like Stray Dogs or Berserker or, any number of other first issues that we pitch to people, I mean, that's what makes it really exciting is like, oh, you actually landed the first issue.
Well, see, I don't think Shadow Doctor is a bad issue. I think that they pitched it wrong.
I maybe disagree a little bit. Like, if it's... like, I don't know that you could pitch it in a different way that would make it good. Like, the pitch has to be like, what's the most interesting thing about this concept? And the concept of a black doctor during Prohibition who can't get hired anyplace because he's black, ends up going to work for the mob. That's the pitch. Because that's like, oh man, I want to read that story. And they're like, great, that starts with issue 2.
Yeah.
Like, if you pitched what was in issue 1, it would just be like, do you want to just read 20 pages about a black guy who can't get a job because there's racism everywhere? Like, because the Civil Rights Act hadn't passed yet and all that stuff? Like, yeah.
Like that fixed it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you could pitch that, and there's probably going to be people who are going to respond to that, but more people are going to respond to the, and then he works for the mob, which is issue 2.
I don't know. It feels like there's never any right answer.
No, and again, like, it's incredibly difficult to do a first issue of a miniseries or an ongoing series that is the right balance between, like, do it in a way where this is a compelling thing, where I feel like my $4 or whatever is well spent, and then set up what the story is going to be so I want to come back for more, but not so much so that I feel like I got burned on this purchase. Like, finding that balance is incredibly tricky. It's very hard to make that work. A lot of writers can't.
This may seem completely random for a comics industry business podcast, but I have a question for you.
What's that?
Are those new socks?
Yeah.
Thought so.
Thanks.
For listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.